Hello everyone. Welcome to your easy guide to English section, and today we are going to start a new topic, that is determiners. And in determiners we are going to cover two categories, that is articles and quantifiers. Determiners are the words that appear before nouns to modify them. They help us understand whether a noun is specific, general, known, unknown, countable, uncountable, or what. So some of the examples could be, say, the student. So the is an article, which is a type of determiner. So here the usage of the is telling us that we are talking about a student in a specific context. So, I mean, we'll understand this in greater details when we cover articles. Similarly, a book. Here we are not referring to any specific book, but book in the general. So, a book. Her car. So again, her here is a determiner. It is telling us the relationship between the car and the owner or whom the car belongs. Some money. Again, it's a quantifier. Some is a quantifier and money is the noun. So we're getting an understanding of like how much money, some money. So these words, they modify a noun and they help us in better understanding the noun. Okay. So there are five types of determiners: articles, possessives, demonstratives, quantifiers, interrogatives. So we are going to talk about articles and quantifiers in detail. So but still, possessives are, we've done possessives in different categories of grammar, I mean parts of speech that we did. Possessives are the ones, the determiners that tell us the relationship between the noun and the person. For example, my, your, his, her. So these are all relationship determining determiners. So possessives. Demonstrative, they give you a direction or a position. So this, that, these, those, these are the demonstratives. Interrogatives help us ask questions. So which, what, whose. So these are all determiners. Now let's start with the first type, that is articles. So articles are used before noun to limit or define their use in the context of a sentence. They impart effectiveness and accuracy to the nouns. So there are two types of articles. So they help us understand whether the noun is being talked about in a general context or in a specific context. And the two kinds of determiners, that is indefinite or definite articles, they help us in understanding that. For example, if we say the moon was shining brightly at night, so we know the moon because we have just one moon around the earth, at least the one that we know of or that we generally refer to. So the moon, here we are specifically talking about that one moon. So that gives us an understanding. The article the gives us an understanding of the context. Similarly, the teacher. So here we are talking about the usage of the article the gives us an understanding that something specific is being talked about. So the teacher, say the maths teacher is new, or the teacher is the teacher does not believe, the teacher who has joined recently does not believe in punishments. So we are talking about a specific teacher. So the teacher gives us that understanding. Similarly, a book, a book a day keeps misery away. So here you're talking about generally a book. We're not specifically referring to any specific book. Similarly, an apple. So we'll discuss this in further details as we dive ahead in the lecture. So let's get to it. Now, where are we supposed to use the article a or in the article an? So we have understood that a and an are indefinite articles, that is they are used in general sense and not in the specific sense. But where do we use a and where do we use an? Now we have generally studied that a and an are used in the sense that a is used before consonants and an is used before vowels. So it's not just this first letter, but it's the sound of the word. So it is determined primarily by the sound of the word. So a, that is a, is used before the consonant sounding words, and an is used before the vowel sounding words. So you know the five vowels a, e, I, o, u. Okay, so before these words or before the words that sound like these, we use an as an article. So let's see some examples. So a boy, boy is a consonant, so a boy. Student, s, sir, again a consonant, so a student. A child, a book. So here we can clearly see that these are consonant. The first letter is a consonant, and the sound of the first letter is also a consonant. So we use a. Now, a one-eyed man was seen in the market today. Suppose the statement were a one-eyed man was seen in the market today. So you see that one has the first letter as O and O is a vowel. Then you can ask that why is used here. It is because the O here doesn't sound like O, like the O in orange, because the nature of O is to sound like O. But here O is sounding like V. And V, V, W are the usual V related words which are consonants. So O here is sounding like a consonant, V. So since this is the case, we use a and not an. Had it been an orange, see in orange it sounds like O, the way an O is supposed to sound, a vowel. So it is an orange and not a orange. So here you understand the difference? When it is sounding like a consonant, then also it has to be followed by a. Similarly, a university student. So here U is not sounding the way it is supposed to be, like in umbrella. So in umbrella, U is sounds like a vowel, but in university, it sounds like the consonant U. So YOOU. So here it again, because it's a consonant sounding word, it becomes the article a is going to be used here. So a university student, a European, again the same thing, a unique book, a uniform. So here these are all not sounding like oo in umbrella. This is how you is supposed to sound as a vowel. When it is sounding like a consonant, then of course the moment you see consonant or consonant sounding, it has to have a as an article. Similarly with an, it has to be a vowel as the first letter or a vowel sounding as the first letter. So an elephant, an apple, an umbrella. So here we can clearly use an as the article. So again, with the words that have muted H, that is although they start with the consonant H, but the H is does not comes in the pronunciation. So for example, hour. So we do not call it hour, no, we call it hour. So it sounds like it's starting with the vowel or o. So an hour, it becomes an hour and not a hour, despite the first word being consonant. Similarly, air. So HEIR, it is pronounced as air. So an air, because again the first word it doesn't sound like the H is not pronounced. So it sounds like it's starting from the letter E or maybe A also. So an air, an honorable person. So H is silent here. So honorable. It sounds like O. So it sounds like it's starting from O. So honorable person. An honest man. So all these words with muted H, they will be followed by the article an. With a consonant pronounced with the sound of vowel. So an LLB student. So here LL sounds like, suppose if you didn't understand English, you would write it as LLB. So it sounds like starting with a vowel LLB. While L is a consonant, but it sounds like it's starting from a vowel, so it will be an LLB. An MP, an MLA, an SP. But if it is a BA student, because B is a vowel, it sounds like a vowel. A BA student, a PhD scholar, a NASA scientist. What else? A UNESCO body. So all these things. So you have to understand what is the sound of the letter, and based on the sound of the letter, you choose. If it's a consonant sounding letter, you choose a as an article. If it's a vowel sounding letter, you use an as an article. Okay. Now we'll get to the usage of a and an. So you use a or an when you mention a thing or a person for the first time. That means in a generic sense. So suppose I say I need a book. So here I have not mentioned any book, what kind of book, we've not had any discussion on any book. So it's like for the first time that I'm mentioning a book, I need a book. So here a book and not the book. Suppose I go to the library and go to a library, sorry. If I go to a library and I ask the librarian, ma'am, I need a book. So here I'm mentioning for the first time, no? So I need a book. So if librarian were to ask me, ma'am, which kind of book? So I would respond, say, I need the book Mrs. Professor Sharma referred to. So now it becomes a specific book, so I'll use the. But as long as the moment I had mentioned it for the first time, the article a will be used. And of course, B's book starts with B, which is a consonant, so a book and not an book. So she gave her a notebook. Again, if the notebook is being mentioned for the first time, then it will be followed by an article a. So if it were later on, if we talk about the notebook and we get into the specifics of it, of course, the article will change. But when something is mentioned, some person or thing is mentioned for the first time, we use the article a or an. Please get me a scooter. Again, mentioned for the first time. So article a. So use a before consonant sounds, a car, a boy. Use and before vowel sounds, an apple, and r. I hope this is clear already. Now, a and an is used to represent an entire class of people, animal, or things. So, a cow is a useful animal. So, here we are not referring to any specific cow. So, a class of animal, like a species of animal, a cow. A cow is a useful animal. So, we are not referring to any specific cow, but the whole species of cow. Similarly, a rose is a beautiful flower. So, here we are referring to the whole species of flower, which is called rose. So a rose is a beautiful flower. A beggar cannot be a chooser. Again, it is used to represent entire class of people, animals, or things. Third, a is used before a proper noun to express a quality like that of a person. So, a Sherlock lives in my neighborhood. Now, it doesn't mean that Sherlock Holmes has left London and has moved to my neighborhood. No, it does not mean that. It just means that there is a person in my neighborhood who is very clever. It's almost he's so clever, like a Sherlock. Anything happens, he is able to pick on the small hints and reach the conclusion. So, I am trying to refer to that quality of that person, and he's that quality. I'm giving it a name Sherlock because it resembles Sherlock's cleverness or his minute observation skills. So a Sherlock lives in my neighborhood. Here, Sherlock as a person, the like that individual is not being invoked upon. Only the quality is being referred to that person's name because of the resemblance. Okay, so it means that the person is very clever. The use of Sherlock here has a meaning, not the individual Sherlock, but it has a meaning of that person being a clever. So when a proper noun is used in this context, only then a can be used. If we were talking about Sherlock Holmes, then definitely we cannot use the article a. Then we would say Sherlock Holmes lives in London. We wouldn't say, oh, Sherlock Holmes lives in London. Of course not. Similarly, he acted like a Gandhi during protest. Now his protest, the way he acted in protest, mean that the way, the dignity by which he was giving speeches and he was managing people, it was very Gandhi like in manner. So trying to refer to that quality of his protesting, and because of the resemblance with Gandhi, we are using the word Gandhi only. So here we are not talking about Gandhi, the person, but we are referring to this person's quality, and because his quality resembles that of Gandhi, so we are using Gandhi as a common pronoun and not as a proper noun. Because we are not referring to Gandhi the person, but only the his protest skills, and we're giving that name a Gandhi. So he acted like a Gandhi during protest. Similarly, she's a Picasso in the making. So you know that great painter called Picasso. He's named Picasso. So, because this person is so good at painting, almost like Picasso would have been, so her great painting skills have been referred to as Picasso. So, here again, Picasso, the individual person, has not been evoked, but this proper noun has been used as a common noun because it is referring to a quality. Okay, don't be a Hitler. Doesn't mean you're like growing mustache like him. May you're growing mustache like him and you're becoming you've turned into Punarjanam, taken a Punarjanam, and you've become Hitler. Of course not. So when you're using proper noun to express the quality that of a person, a is used with quantities and prices. Fairly simple. Rupees 10 a kilo. If you ask the sabzi wala, bhai, how much is this? And sabzi wala speaks in English. He or she will tell you rupees 10 a kilo. A dozen of bananas. You say a dozen of bananas. You can say half a dozen. Or he earns 50,000 a year. So here you use a when you're referring to quantities or prices. Use a and in strong expressions with countable nouns. It should be, sorry, he earns 50,000 an year because here year sounds like vowel. So 50,000 an year. So here the article and should be used. So be mindful of it. So I mean, it maybe the somebody didn't pay attention to the fact that it's an year. So 50,000 an year. So here, because the first word is vowel sounding also, while it starts with a consonant, but it sounds like a vowel, ear. So why it doesn't sound like. So 50,000 a year. So article a and an can be used with quantities and prices. Use a and an in strong expressions with countable nouns. So if you were to say what a hot day, so here a is used to express the strong expression of like how hot the day is. What a hot day. What a naughty child. How fine a day. So these are again used in the expression of the countable nouns. Okay. So that's also one way where articles a and an are used. A is used when referring to a person not known to speaker. So for example, oh, Mr. Gupta has called you. So here, like, I do not know who this person is, but he just vaguely told me, please let them know Mr. Gupta has come. So I'm going and telling my brother, oh, Mr. Gupta called you. So like some Mr. Gupta called you. So when the person is not sure about who the speaker was, who exactly Mr. Gupta was, then you can use a. So usage of a before Mr. Gupta shows that you're not sure of who the person Mr. Gupta is. So it could be any Mr. Gupta. It could be Mr. Sunil Gupta, Mr. Suresh Gupta, Mr. whatever. So it could be any Mr. Gupta. So again, this usage of a here shows that there is lack of specificity and it is used in a relatively general terms. Similarly, Mrs. Sharma was waiting for you. So because we do not know who Mrs. Sharma, Mrs. Sunita Sharma, Mrs. Anita Sharma, Mrs. Sarita Sharma, it could be anybody. So again, the lack of specificity, it's used in a generic sense. So here, because we do not know the person, it becomes relatively general. We are just indicating to the whole group, sort of. So as an article would be used. A is used before actions when they are treated like nouns. So when and only an instance of that action is being talked about. So say the whole action would be walking, but go for a walk means like an instance of walking, that you went for a walk once. That's all. Go for a walk. Here walking, an instance of walking is happening. So in this scenario also, you use a before action. So go for a walk, have a swim, take a rest, have a talk. So in all these cases, we see only one instance of that action is happening. And in such cases where only one instance of that action is happening, or when that action is almost treated like a noun, then we use the article a or an. Okay? So go for a walk here, or go have a swim, take a rest, have a talk, all these. When used with big numbers, it is used to refer to one, the number one. So 100 would mean 100. A dozen would mean 1 dozen. A million would mean 1 million. Okay, so when used with big numbers, it is used to mean one. Okay. Now, you should also remember that a and an are always used with the singular nouns only. They are not used with the plural noun. So if you have to change the noun to plural, you use different quantifiers and you cannot use the article then. So you cannot say a horse and then say a horses. No, you cannot do that. So the moment horse become horses, the a will change to some or as the context may be. An orange will never be an oranges. An orange would obviously would mean singular. So some oranges. So the moment orange become oranges, you switch the article also. Okay, I hope this is fairly clear. It was, I think, quite simple. Now we get to the definite article, that is the. So you use the when you are referring to something specific already mentioned or something that is known. So the book you gave me is interesting. Now I am referring to that specific book that you have given me. So when I'm saying the book you gave me, the moment I use the article, the definite article the, it means that you and I both, we understand it is, we are talking about the book that you have given me. So it's, of course, the book is specific, it's already mentioned, it's known to both of us. So the book you gave me is interesting. Let's read the lesson. So here it is expected that maybe the lesson was discussed in the class, and now I'm saying, okay, now for the revision, let's read the lesson. So again, here the is referring, is telling us that this has already been mentioned, or the lesson that is being referred here is specific and we know which lesson is being referred to. Okay. Now, the second rule says that use the with unique places, landmarks, and titles. So, the Ganges, the Taj Mahal, the Sun, the Ramayana, the Times of India. So, all these unique places, titles, and landmarks, they should always be followed by the. And again, disclaimer, whenever I say almost, always, it means almost always. Okay, there are always exceptions. So we'll get to the exceptions also in most of these rules later. But whenever I say always, I've mentioned it so many times. So, but again, I'll repeat it. So, always means almost always. So, with the unique names, landmarks, and titles, you use the definite article the. You also use the with a singular noun for an entire class, especially when the noun is familiar, established, or typically used in general truth. So, the dog is a faithful animal. Refers to dogs as a class focusing on their well known quality. The elephant is a large mammal. Again, it's a general truth. So, more formal or philosophical in style when stating accepted facts or qualities of a well known category. So, the thing is, ki, when we were talking about and the indefinite articles, then also we talked about them being used in order to refer to a whole class. But when we are using and an, we are usually trying to make a casual sentence, and we are again there. The general rule is same. The for specific cases, specificity, and an for generic situation. So here we use the example, a cow is a useful animal. So we are not talking about any specific cow, but we are actually referring to any cow. So any cow can be a useful animal. So not a specific one, meaning cows in general are useful. Or a beggar cannot be a chooser. So we are not talking about any specific beggar. We are talking about the whole beggar community. So a beggar cannot be a chooser. So any beggar in the whole community cannot be a chooser. You must take care of a dog if you get one as a pet. So not any dog. We're not pointing to any dog that is being referred to here. But if you get a dog, it could be any dog, but if you get a dog, please take care of that dog. So the tone here is casual, practical. It's like that. So the and a and while they can both be referring to class, but when the reference is specific, we use the, or when the reference is more generic, we use a or an. Okay, clear? Now we use the with adjectives to mean the group of people. Again, very similar to the previous rule. When we say the rich, the poor, it would mean that we are referring the rich means the whole community of people who are rich. The poor means the whole community of people who are poor. So the rich and the poor cannot be friends. So it would mean that the rich people, the whole community of rich people, the whole community of poor people, they cannot be friends. So amongst the all different communities, the rich, the poor, the middle class, the upper middle class, the lower middle class, we are referring to two specific communities. So we say the. Now we can also say he is a rich man. Then you will be like, ma'am, before rich we are using an article a. How come? So here we are referring to his quality of being rich. So he is a rich man. So we are not pointing to uh, like the whole rich community. He is a rich man. We are referring to in a very general sense. He's a rich man. Here the rich is very different from the rich, which was referring to the whole community. He is like any rich man. We are not poor. He's a rich man, like any rich man, not the specific community. Okay. She is a kind teacher. Again, here a kind teacher is not referring to the like whole community. Here a kind teacher. So I mean it's generic. She's a kind teacher, like generally speaking. So you see, you just have to understand the difference on the specificity and generic aspect. The rich and the poor is like very specifically, we are talking about two specific classes of society. Here he's a rich man, general. She's a kind teacher, general. Okay. Now use the before musical instruments. He plays the flute. Fairly simple. So before the musical instruments, use the. Use the in comparisons. So when you're comparing, you use the. So you say the sooner the better. So before both you use the. She is the smarter of the two. She is the smarter of the two. So you will never say she is the smarter of two. So she is the smarter of the two. Okay, when you're comparing two things, you use the definite article. Again, when you are comparing someone with a noun such as Kalidas is the Shakespeare of India. In this case also you use the. Here is also comparison going on. Kalidas is the Shakespeare of India. For specific competitions like the World Cup, the Olympics, we use the. Again, these are very specific. Like when I say World Cup, you get a very specific image because obviously it's a very specific kind of competition. Similarly, the Olympics, you see tracks, people running on those things. It's a very evokes a very specific picture because of course it's a very specific competition. So the World Cup, the Olympics, the Wimbledon, all those they are followed by the article the. For positions and direction, so you say the top of the hill. the east, the west. So these are again followed by the definite article the. For units, when you're saying sold by the meter, sold by the dozen, again we use the. We see here again, the is, like I've said again and again, the is used to refer to specific. So here we are talking about the sold by the meter would mean that you like this specific unit. It's not sold by kg, it's not sold by milliliter, it's sold by meter. We're talking specific. Sold by dozen, again not sold by kilometer or centimeter, it's sold by dozen. Okay. Used for communities. So again, if you're talking about the communities, you use the definite article the. So the Rajputs were the Rajputs ruled in the western part of India. So you say the Rajputs. But again, you can also say Prithviraj Chauhan was a Rajput king. Now here you say Kyare. Now is used. Here we are referring to Prithviraj Chauhan specifically, but a Rajput king means that he was one of the many Rajput kings. So again, we are talking about the specificities of Prithviraj, but the Rajput here is not the specific thing that we are talking about, that he was one of the Rajput kings. So we can say a Rajput king. And in the first example, the Rajputs ruled in the western part of India. We are talking specifically the Rajput kingdom amongst the like various other kingdoms, and the Rajput kingdoms who ruled in kingdom that was a part of western India. Okay, so that's the difference. So Prithviraj Chauhan was a Rajput king would be Prithviraj Chauhan was a Rajput king, while the others were, I don't know, Mauryan kings. Doesn't make sense. They were not in the same period, but just for the sake of, it's an English class, not a history class. So uh, I couldn't think of any other example. So that's the thing. When you're talking about the community specifically, and when you hear while Prithviraj Chauhan is being talked about specifically, so we do not use any article before Prithviraj Chauhan. In any way, we do not use articles before proper noun. So, but a Rajput king here is used in general sense. So, a Rajput king. Similarly, for idiomatic expressions like you should speak the truth, or in the air, on the contrary. So here again, the is used to show emotion or quality. So the mother in her or the beast in him. So we, in order to show that specific emotion amongst the many emotions, the mother in her. So that emotion of caring, being caring or being loving. So you're referring to that emotion. So the mother in her, or the motherly instincts that were present in her, the mother in her. The beast in him, the evil qualities present in him. So when you're specifically referring to those things, so again, you use the. Now you can say she is a good mother. Here again, we are not talking about a specific thing. So she is a good mother. She's like a very specific, a very generic statement. So we say a good mother. We are not specifically referring to any specific quality. We are not specifically referring to any mother-like specific thing. So she's a good mother. Just that. Okay. So a good mother. Professions and institutions, the press, the judiciary, the army. So whenever we talk about these, we say the, because again, respectable positions, they hold respectable positions. So it's better to follow these professions and institutions by the. Political parties also, we always hear the BJP, the Congress, the Labour Party. So all these things, they are followed by the article the. A position. A position means adding extra information. So if I were to say that Mr. Vajpayee, the former prime minister, here where I have to add some extra information that he was also former prime minister, I will use the article the. Again, it's a very specific case. So we say Mr. Vajpayee, a former prime minister wouldn't be true or correct in this context, but the former prime minister of India would be absolutely true. Mr. Vajpayee, the former prime minister of India. A former prime minister can be used in some context, but it's not relevant for us at this point. So whenever you have to say, when you have to use, I mean, it depends on the following statement or following part of the information that is being talked about. But whenever you're adding extra information, you always say Mr. Vajpayee, the former prime minister. Dates and events. The 15th of August, the Civil War. So again, dates and events, very specific. Goes without saying, they are followed by the article the. Body parts. When you're referring to body parts, we use the before body parts when referring to them generally or in the context of an action. These expressions assume both speaker and the listener know which body part is involved. So if someone says, hit me on the head, that means these are two people talking, and it is assumed that this head is being talked about. So here head becomes specific. So it is followed by the article the. She caught me by the arm. So again, both the speakers know what is being talked about, which arm is being talked about, whose arm is being talked about. So it becomes specific. So she caught me by the arm. But there are also points where body parts should not be followed by the. So when body part is mentioned in a scientific, general, or anatomical context, they should not be followed by the. For example, liver is the largest organ in the body. So they are not referring to any specific person. They're not referring to any specific case. So which liver? What liver? So here liver is not to be followed by the. Similarly, skin protects internal organs. So with skin, what skin? Like it's again a general and anatomical context used in scientific context. So it should not be followed by the. Brain controls the body. So here again, brain should not be followed by the because used in general sense. So do you understand when we're talking in terms of like an action with in the context of an action, hit me on the head, she caught me by the arm. Only then will we use the before the body parts. So this is the summary table for usage of the. When you have gone through this lecture and once you have revised the slides also, for later on in the later stages of your preparation, you can just go through the summary table and you'll be good to go. It's not like you really need to learn each and every rule, but you just go through it once or twice and you'll just develop a sense of things. So while I have given so many different categories, the basic understanding is whether the noun that is being referred to is used in a general sense or in a specific sense. That's all. It's used in a specific sense, then use the article, the definite article the. And if it is used in general sense, use the indefinite article a and an, or an based on the context. Now, when you're talking about one person or thing with two roles or names, you use article only once before the first noun. So, for example, the prime minister and president of the party is visiting. So, when only one article is used here, so it means that only one person is coming. He is both prime minister and the president. So when one person has two roles or names, you use one article only. But when two people are being talked about and they both have different roles and names, then you use article for each of them. So the prime minister and the president are visiting. That means that two people are coming and one is prime minister and one is president. So two separate people, two separate articles. So the number of people equals to number of articles used. Okay. Same role with that adjectives also. When two adjectives describe one noun, you use only once. So she's wearing a black and a white sari. So the sari has black color and white color. So it's she's using she's wearing a black and a white sari. But if there are two items, then you use two articles. So she's wearing a black and a white sari. No, black sari and a white blouse. Because who will wear two saris? So she's wearing a black sari and a white blouse. So here black sari and white blouse are being talked about two different objects. So two different articles. Okay. So one person or thing, one article, then one article of course. And when two different persons being talked about, then two articles. Fairly simple. Now, if we have spent so much time in understanding where to use articles, we should also understand where not to use articles, of course. So when you're talking about proper nouns, you do not use articles. So you do not use article before proper nouns like India, Ramesh, Mount Everest. You don't say a Ramesh is coming, the Ramesh is coming. Now you also don't use. We have put Mount Everest in this category because Mount Everest is not mountain range. It's a specific mountain or peak that is being named Mount Everest. So had it been a range like the Andes, the Rockies, then we could use the definite article. But Mount Everest is just a peak, so we don't say the. We don't use any article before it. Generally, before abstract nouns, we do not use an article. So we don't say a love, honesty, the freedom. We say the freedom of speech, but we don't say because it's the whole phrase and not just the freedom, the noun, abstract noun. So often, before abstract nouns, we do not use articles. Before uncountable nouns, also, we do not use articles such as water, sugar, rice. We don't say give me a rice. Like doesn't make sense because we cannot count rice, we cannot count water, we cannot count sugar. So we do not use articles. Plural countables. This we did because articles are used for general, for singular. So books, teachers, phones, books, the books. So they again do not make sense. Meals, lunch, breakfast, dinner. We do not use article before these meals. It's not like we don't use articles before lunch. We do not use article before the word lunch, before the word breakfast, and before the word dinner. Please, just in case. That okay, okay, I'll talk about and after lunch only. No, that's not what I'm saying. Before the languages, that is English, Hindi, French, etc. Everything is followed by an etc. Okay, it's not just that three. These are the only some of the examples. So before the name of the languages, we do not say English is spoken in London or Britain. So we don't say oh English is spoken in Britain, though English is spoken in Britain. Hindis are is the most dominant language in Indian subcontinent. So we do not say oh Hindi, the Hindi. Same with the subjects, history, science, economics. We do not use article before them. Games or sports, cricket, badminton, chess. Diseases, usually talking about diseases we do not use articles before them. Cancer, fever, asthma. We do not use articles before them. Fixed expression, go to school, by bus, in hospital. So again, these are also not followed by or preceded by articles. Okay. Now, with this, we end the determiner articles and let's start talking about now quantifiers. So, as the name suggests, quantifiers are they modify a noun in the sense that they let us know about the quantity of the noun. So, how much or how many? They answer the question. How much or how many? They are used before noun to express the quantity or amount. The answer to the question how much or how many. They depend on the noun type, countable or uncountable. So if it is a countable noun, we'll know how many. If it's an uncountable noun, we'll know how much. So some of the examples could be some, many, few, much, little, a lot of, plenty of. Okay. Now quantifiers for countable noun. So quantifiers used for countable nouns are of course the nouns that can be counted. So if we ask how many, we get a number in form of an answer. So a book, cycle, scooter, apple, orange, friend, all those. So you can count the number of books. So 5 books, 10 books, friend, 10 friends, 2 friends, 3 friends. So it's not like you when talking about countable nouns, you get a reply in terms of number and not in amount. You don't say I've got 2 kilo friends. Of course not. I hope not. I have got 30 kgs of oranges. 30 kgs again? 30 kgs. I have got uh, 10 centimeter orange. So when we say orange, fair, the word 30 is giving us a number. Like how many orange? 30 kgs. So when we're talking about uncountable, we're talking about quantity. We cannot give a number like that. We are talking, sorry, when we are talking about uncountable, we're talking about amount. I'm sorry, amount and not quantity. So countable nouns give us a quantity. We can count them and it's a measurement of number. So so when we say many, few, a few, several, a number of, these are the quantifiers used with countable nouns. So we say how many books? I've got how many books or I've got a few books. I've got several books, a couple of books, a number of books are on this subject. The majority of the books are kept in the are submitted to the library. Okay, so these quantifiers they are used for the countable noun. So I have a few friends. So again, friend is a countable noun. So we can use the quantifier few or a few. Many students failed the test. So again, we can use since the student is sorry, since the student is a countable noun, we can say many students. Similarly, books countable noun, so we say several books were donated. Okay, so for countable nouns we have these quantifiers. Now for uncountable nouns we have quantifiers. They tell us the amount of it. So how much, not how many. The question is how much. So how much, how little, uh, a bit, a large amount of. So we're talking, you can think of it like a cake. So you take out some amount of it, you like a pie, a proportion. So that's what it's being talked about. So say dancing. You cannot say 2 kgs of dancing, 3 dancing, 4 dancing. So you can say a lot of dancing, less dancing, a good deal of dancing, a great deal of dancing, no dancing. So we are referring to how much did you dance. So we are referring to the amount of it and not the number of it. Okay. I have little interest in sports. So that means like not much, not many. You cannot like it's again telling amount that a lot of a little. She needs a little help. That means how much help? A little help. So it's telling the amount. We cannot count two help, five help. We can't say that. Not much time is left. So we can't say two time is left, seven time is left. No, we can't say all that. So we have to understand the amount. Not much time is left. Less time is left. There is no time left anymore. Okay. So quantifiers for uncountable nouns would be much, little, a bit of, a large amount of. Okay. Quantifiers, some quantifiers can be used for both countable and non-countable nouns. Fairly simple. Some, any, enough, a lot of, lots of, plenty of. These are all the quantifiers. They can be used for both countable and uncountable nouns. So if I say we have some money and some book. So here books are countable nouns, money it can be uncountable nouns. So some money, some books. Do you have any information or emails? So information is uncountable noun, emails you can count, but we use the same quantifier any. There's plenty of food and chairs. Again, same quantifier for both countable and uncountable noun. Okay, so you just have to, for the question point of view, we have to see whether the noun is countable or uncountable, and accordingly we decide the quantifier to be used. Now there are some commonly confused quantifiers, so we'll see the difference between them because most of the questions are also asked around this only. So a few and few. So then again, it's quite simply like it's quite evident that it is used with countable nouns. A few and few. A few shows a positive tone. It means some, not many, but enough. So I've got a few friends. So I'm positively saying that I'm not lonely. I've got a few friends here. Like there are not many, but there are like a few are there, and it's enough for me. We have a few book on that topic. So like there are not many books, but they're like enough, just fine. Few, but it will serve the purpose. So we have a few books on that topic. But when you say few without the article it shows a negative tone. It means almost none. It implies insufficiency or lack of it. For example, few people visited him in the hospital. So that means this person is not very popular. Don't Not many people like him. So only like very few people. There were some, but the number was so small. And I'm like saying it in the sense of like a negative tone that few people visited. Like no one cared. Few students understood the concept. Again, majority did not, and just few. Like so, I probably she didn't teach well. So just few students understood the concept. So mostly struggled. So here, few when used, it's expressing disappointment and concern. So a few positive tone, few negative tone. So a few has somebody, few with article a is happy. So the couple is happy because few has article a to depend upon. So it's positive and happy. Few alone is feeling lonely and few alone is frustrated. That's how you can remember a few positive tone, few negative tone. Okay. Similar rule is followed by a little and little. So use little for uncountable nouns. A little has a positive tone. It means some, not much, but enough. So I've got a little money means I'm positively saying that while I do not have a lot, but like I've got little and I can manage my finances with that. Okay, so I'm not rich, but I can manage. She has a little patience left. So that means that she's been waiting for some time and most of her patience is exhausted, but still some is left, and that's enough for her to pass some time. Similarly, little, like few, little is also frustrated. So without the article a, little has a negative tone. It means hardly any, and it implies a lack of or insufficiency. So he had little money. That means he didn't have much and his situation is very difficult. So he had little money. He's almost broke. There's little hope of success. So it's again saying almost no hope. It's it's near to impossible for this person to succeed. So a little. When they are in couple, they are happy and so positive tone. When they are alone, they are disappointed. So negative tone. A little, a few positive, little, few negative. When to use much? Again, you use much for uncountable nouns. So for uncountable nouns, it is typically used when you're asking questions, typically in negative sentences and with the phrase of the when you're specifying something. So how much sugar do you need? So if you have to ask question, uncountable noun sugar. So you say how much sugar do you need? So much. There isn't much traffic today. In the negative sentence, there isn't much traffic. So is not. So again, in the negative sentences, traffic, uncountable noun. Much of the water had dried up. So much of the is used in more formal and specific statement. So we are referring to say some pond or something, and we are like very specifically talking about it, that some of the much of the water, not some, sorry, much of the water had dried up. So in questions, negative sentences, and when we are talking about specific, used with the phrase of the. It would be incorrect to use much in a positive sentence. So if I say I have much sugar, it sounds odd. Like it's better when it is used in the negative sentence. I have much sugar. I have a lot of sugar. That would be better. But I have much sugar is not the formal way to use much. Most and most of the. So most of the is used when referring to a specific group or thing. So most of the water has evaporated. Most of the students in my class passed. Most of the people like chocolate. Most of the furniture was damaged. So we are referring to a specific group. So if say for this last statement, most of the furniture was damaged. So you picture a room full of furnitures and most of it is damaged. So most of the is referring to that group of damaged furniture. So it is referring to a specific group or thing. When we say most without of the, only most, it is used for making general statements. So most colleges have their own rules. So this is not a very specific statement. We're not mentioning, we do not have a very small pool like we had in the previous most of the. Most people enjoy music. Yeah, most people enjoy music, some dance, some chilling, reading. So it's more generic in the sense. Most plants need sunlight. Again, it's quite generic in the sense. When we are saying most of the water, it is more specific. Okay. Also, if the noun has the, my, your, these, such pronouns, then most of the can be used. And if you're just talking generally, use most. So this can be one of your cheat code, that if you encounter the, my, your, these, use most of the, and for otherwise use most. Okay. So here is your quick summary of quantifiers. A few, little, a little, much, most of the. Okay. Now we have come to the end of both the topics, and let's try to do some practice questions. Okay. So this is dash unique idea. You have to fill these blanks with articles. So this is dash unique idea. This is a unique idea because U here is consonant sounding like in university. So this is a unique idea. He earns 5,000 a month. So with the numbers we use He is he's an MLA from Varanasi. So please correct the third statement. We say an MLA and not a. Please, my bad. In the third question, you say an MLA because we discussed it's MLA. M sounds like a the first letter sounds like a vowel. Okay. I saw dash owl sitting on dash old tree. So I saw an owl sitting on an old tree because O vowels. So we use an. Dash earth revolves around dash sun. The earth revolves around the sun. Very specific. She wants to buy dash new dress for dash party. She wants to buy a new dress for the party because when we are saying dress, we are talking about, we are not specific of which dress. So we are going to go shop a new dress, some new dress. But for the party, because there is one party that she's being invited to where she'll be going to. So when we are talking about party, the party, and we're talking about dress, a new dress. So she wants to buy a new dress for the party. Okay. Now you have to correct the sentence. He is the honest man and the noble friend. He is an honest man and a noble friend. So we say an honest man because of course muted H. So an honest and noble because consonant. So a noble. He is an honest man and a noble friend. The Ganga is a holy river. The Ganga is a holy river. Sorry, I read the statement wrong. The statement is the Ganga is holy river. So before holy river, we have to insert an article a. So the Ganga is a holy river. The Mount Everest is the highest peak in the world. So we do not use articles before proper noun, and Mount Everest is a peak and not the range of mountains. We discussed this. So Mount Everest is the highest peak in the world. Which of the following sentences is correct? She is reading a Ramayana, she is reading the Ramayana, she is reading an Ramayana. It doesn't make sense. And Kato, see, to of course not possible. So we are talking about that one specific book, Ramayana. Although there are so many different versions of Ramayana all over the world, but again, do not forget it's an English class and you don't have to get into technicalities. So she's reading the Ramayana. So the specific book are epic, the Ramayana. Okay, she's reading the Ramayana. Now let's do some practice exercise for quantifiers. So first question, she has dash friends in Mumbai. So she has a few or she little. Now friends is countable noun. So of course we can count the friends. It's not like we are going to compare them on the basis of heights or how big or small they are. Because of course we count our friends. So a few because friends is countable. She has a few friends in Mumbai. There isn't dash sugar left in the jar. So sugar is uncountable noun. So with uncountable noun we use the quantifier much. So there isn't much sugar left in the jar. Uh, okay, for this one I'll wait for you to solve and then we'll do it together like we used to do for the previous exercises. So please look at the questions, pause the video here and try to do them on your own. Look at the question, try to do them on your own. Again, look at the question, pause the video and try to do them on your own. Okay. I hope you've attempted the questions and because the lecture has already gotten quite long, so let's quickly solve the questions. I need dash water to boil the pasta. Now, water is uncountable noun, so we will use some. Of course, some, any, many. So, some is actually used with both countable and uncountable. So, many, of course, cannot be used. Any, of course, cannot be used. So, some. I need some water to boil the pasta. There are only dash students in the classroom today. So, few or a few. So actually, it depends on the context whether we are using it in the negative or the positive sense. But the word only is giving a sense of there are only few. So there are only few students in the classroom. So we are sort of focusing on the small number of students. So we will use few. There are only few students in the classroom. I didn't get dash help from him. So help again uncountable noun. So we will say I didn't get any help from him. So few, of course, not because we cannot count the help. So any help from him. So we have to spot the error in the question 4. He has much friends in Delhi. Of course not. Friends, as we discussed before, is countable noun. So he has many friends in Delhi. Much is used when you're talking about amount. And we are here talking about number, the quantity. She has a little problem with her project. So problems is again a countable noun. So little is wrong. So she has few problems with her project. She has some problems with her project. Some is a problematic quantifier that can be used anywhere. She has a few problems. She has a few problems with her project. We can say that. Little is wrong for sure. We saw dash birds in the forest. We saw much birds in the forest. Right? Much? Of course not. Birds is countable. So we will say many. So we saw many birds in the forest. Do you have dash money with you? Do you have some money with you? Do you have any money with you? So the right answer would be any. Do you have any money with you? Because that is fitting more in the context. But some is also something that can be used for both countable and non-countable. Money is uncountable or non-countable noun. So we will use any here because that is fitting better in the context. Do you have any money in with you? So that. There is dash noise in the room. Much, many, a few. So noise is again uncountable noun. So we will use much. There is much noise in the room because many and a few are used with countables. Why do we say a few friends is positive and few friends is negative? We have discussed this. So please think of the answer in your mind or you at least say it out loud. That would be better. So I'll move ahead. Rearrange. 10th question. Much doesn't he experience have? He doesn't have much experience. Experience here is uncountable. So we say much experience. There are less bottles on the table. Correct the sentence. So there are bottles again. It's a countable noun. So we will say there are few bottles on the table. So few. We've got dash problems to solve. A few, a little. So what is, we will again look at the noun. What is the noun? Problems is countable noun. So we will say a few because little is used for uncountable. I drank dash of the juice you gave me. Most of the juice because of the is anyway written here. So we choose option A, most. Most of the juice you gave me. 14. So in the 14th, we have to choose whether 14A is correct or 14B is correct. He has little friends in college. He has a few friends in college. So it's not like this person has little, uh, what do you say, doll kind of friends in college. He has few because friends is uncountable now. Sorry, friends is countable noun. So we can say few, many. Little is used for uncountable noun. So 14A is wrong and 14B is correct. There isn't dash bread in the kitchen. There isn't much bread in the kitchen because again, bread is uncountable noun. So much. We didn't find dash clues at the scene. We didn't find many clues at the scene. Again, clue you can count, so it's countable. So many. We didn't find few wouldn't fit, while few is also used for countables, but it is not does not fit in the context. A little people showed interest in the campaign. So it's not like people from Lilliput have come for the campaign. So a few people showed interest in the campaign because people, although people can be used both in countable and uncountable sense, but here we can see it is we are talking about the number. So we will say a few people. So with this, we have come to the end of our lecture. I hope you can now make sense of articles and quantifiers and that you enjoyed the lecture. Thank you so much for your patience. I'll see you again. Bye bye.